Hello, welcome Truck Stop Murder and True Crime Podcast. Been a while. I guess I forgot how to introduce myself. But Truck Stop Murder and True Crime Podcast. It's been about 3 weeks. Last episode, of course, being the murder of Skylar Neese. And if you're a return listener, thank you. If you're a new listener, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I am an OTR truck driver for Prima Express. I travel to 48 states, and during this time, I have to take 10-hour breaks at truck stops. So during this, I'll talk about the truck stop I stay at and a murder slash crime that happened around it. Lately, it's been nothing but murders, but I have a few crime ones, getting ready to go that I might cover. We'll see what happens. But yeah, it's been a while. And right after my last episode, oh, by the way, please share this if you like what you listen to, maybe on YouTube or wherever you maybe listen to this right now. Please share, rate, review, tell friends. Let me build this. Help me build this podcast. Right now, I'm at sitting about 52 episodes. Not doing very well, and I thought I was doing a lot better with some of the other podcasts I'm supporting that decided they cannot mention my name even on their Patreons. But that's another. I'm not gonna get on that gripe. But yeah, share, rate, review, help me build this up. I'm not even gonna get to my Patreon. Hopefully one day I get big enough, or maybe people will start liking me. Then they might want to support me through Patreon or PayPal because you will get a shout out in here, a big thank you, and give me a reason to start doing some Patreons. I'm really slacking on this podcast because of the. I mean, I'm having some, listening feedback and attention to it, but not as so it's getting depressing. But anyhow, enough of that. No, yeah, tell you what, I don't know. My wife, one of the reasons why I have not put, another reason why I have not put out an episode in a while, because what my wife says right afterwards, I got super sick. My wife thinks I got the coronavirus. Did get vaccinated, of course. I think it's the flu fuel. I think it's the flu. I get it every once in a while. I don't get sick very often, but when I do, holy shit. And it's kind of like the flu, body aches, temperature, and just, oh God, it was horrible. So by the time I got over it, I realized I have nothing ready to go in the holster. So I had to hurry up, and I first got this episode because my wife Desra is a big true fan nerd, and I always ask her, "Have you heard this case? Have you heard?" When I first told her about this, she says, "No, I've not heard about this case yet." And I was like super excited, so I dove asshole deep in it. And then she said, "Don't tell me about it." So I started talking a little bit about it, but without telling her about it. And then she said, "Oh, is this the so and so that did this? This?" I'm like, "You suck. I thought you did not know nothing about it. But obviously, she did." So, all right then. So, but yeah, without further ado, I got all my gripes out and everything. Yeah, so share, rate, review. You can listen to me on Audible and anywhere else you listen to podcasts, and also on YouTube. So, without further ado, today brings us to Kalamazoo, Michigan, where when I was at the Love's truck stop, we go to Kalamazoo a lot. There's a Walmart distribution center. I mean, that I go there all the time. Now the Love's is actually in Alamo, Michigan. If you want to know, the address is 7900 Adobe ADOB Road in Alamo, Michigan. Area code 49009. If you're curious. The truck stop is the Love Truck Stop is a fairly new truck stop. Has a 3.8 ratings. 5 out star. 3.8 out of 5 stars review. So a lot of people like it. As of right now, 1 hour. My time is 5:36 Eastern time right now. Since I'm in I'm actually in Indiana. By the way, I'm stuck at this rest area out here, just north of Indianapolis, because this storm has me shut down. All the snow, the ice, the roads are terrible, so I'm shut down waiting for the morning time, heading to Charlotte, North Carolina. So, but yeah, I'm shut down, can't go nowhere. So taking the advantage of doing this. So yeah, as of an hour ago of 5:37 Central Eastern time, there was a lot of spots. Diesel is 364 a gallon. Is 63 spots, 5 showers. Of course, overnight parking, all the other different amenities. If you want to go there, if you happen to be traveling in Kalamazoo, Michigan, maybe try some of that legal cannabis they have up there. It's kind of expensive, but it's legal. So, and if you do get that cannabis and you get the munchies, well, tell you what, there's not much here. I don't know if there's. I think there's a McDonald's there. It's been a while since I've been there. All the information I'm getting right now is from Trucker's Path, and it's not showing what's there. All I know is I know they have the hot dogs and different fast food stuff like that, which I think Love's has the most amazing jalapeno cheddar, jalapeno and cheese hot dogs. I love them things. Two for $3.50. You can't beat it. But I think it's when I get the reviews is why I think remember there was a McDonald's there. But as for Trucker's Path has Pizza Perfect, half a mile. Usually I try to stay within a quarter mile, but I'm gonna go with a couple places not too far. There's two places that's from there. The Pizza Perfect, which is a half a mile, and 0.6 is the Club Car Grill, breakfast and brunch restaurant. So yeah, there's you have your McDonald's, loves truck stop food, or that. So let's see what people think about this place. So the reviews of this place. Let's see what people think about it. License a 3.8 review. The food is 3.8, which is probably just truck stop food. Parking 4.1. Showers 4.3, and service 3.9. Like I said, it's a fairly new truck stop, so of course they're probably gonna get some decent reviews. Here's one. It's a 5-star review. It shows a picture of some food. It just says it's busy. And one guy, I don't know what I see this in a lot of these truck stop reviews where they give a 1-star review and the person's name is no, but they're asking a question. They say 1-star review. Let's bring the rating down so somebody could tell this asshole how much is the fuel. I'm not saying if the truck stop sucks, then go ahead and give it a 1-star review, but don't give it a 1-star review if you're just going to ask for parking or if they have beer or in this case how much is food. Is there any parking? Let's just lower it down because your ass can't use Trucker's Path and look at the information. It's all there. Now, here's a 4-star review. This place is nice, quiet, and clean. Not packed, full at night. Fairly new, decent loves. So all you dirtbags that throw your trash on the ground and piss and poo in the parking lot, the rest area is up the road. Okay, very good, excellent. 4-star for sale. This guy's, 5-star for sale garments. He's talking about the sales there. Let's go. For sale garment, DEZL, DEZ, 570 limited, and Rand McNally, Clear Drive 220 together, $100. I guess he's selling it. His truck. He's a phone number. So if you're interested in buying that, his number is 269. This was 4 months ago. So Garmin, $100. His name is Nate. His number is 269-615-5159. Garmin DEZ 570 LMT and Rad McNally Clear Drive 220 together for $100. Is that a good deal? I don't know. And there's him again. Same thing. That's Nate again. Here's a 3-star review. New lows, okay parking. Keep marking some spots when they're. Wait, let's start again. I read them as I see them. New loves, okay parking. People keep marking some spots when there is a dozen empty spots. So can't trust the parking G update. I got here at 0100 on a Saturday and the place was half empty. They do have some staffing issues, but the employees are nice, even though I guess, even though they're low staffing. Let me start again. Places they do some staffing issues but the employees are nice, even though they are being overworked to do staffing issues. So I'm trying to find the one, the one where the guy talked about the McDonald's. Been up in less than a month. Not everyone works inside. His 3-star. Here you go. Been open less than a month. Not everything works inside. Got hit by lightning twice today. So pumps are down. They definitely need to get. They definitely need time to get their act together. Okay then. So another 1-star review. Place was closed. Couldn't feel since when is Love's not open 24 hours a day. And here you go. ACDC wants to review this place, a 1-star review. By the way, at McDonald's, the emu ass head needs to be checked. Trust me, I will be back because I'm in the area every week. And do what, Mr. ACDC? Post on it again. There you go. That kid took my order approximately 2,200 on, I guess, military and truck driving runs off military time. So 2,200, which is 11 o'clock at night on July 1st. July 1st, 2021, has an attitude problem, upset he can't be at home playing Xbox on Wi-Fi on his parents' time. And there goes my truck starting. You little grumpy piece of shit. And there you go. I'm gonna have to pause this for a second because my truck's retarded. It wants to start while I have it on optimized idle so I can keep it heat warm in here. But once the battery starts getting low, the truck will just start. So I'm gonna have to pause in the recording to take care of the issue. But I was done with that was the review. So let's go on to the murder. So as I was turning off my truck, everything, I decided to call my wife for a second. Then I noticed, like I said, there's a lot of snow. I think we got almost 10 to 12, I mean, at least 10 inches of snow up here. It's ridiculous. A low profile car happened to be driving right by next to me and got stuck right next to me. By the way, I record all my recordings is done inside a Freightliner truck. I don't have a studio. I don't do these at home. I do these on the road. And like I said, right now I'm at a rest area in Indiana. I could tell you exactly, go to Trucker's Path. Let's see where exactly I am if you want to know. It says rest area in Indiana. I think here I am in Thorntown, Indiana, mile marker 149 on I-65 South. And it is full. I marked it full. I was the last one who did that. But it's right north of Indianapolis. But yeah, it's so much snow. But he got stuck in the snow. Then a police officer, a bunch of trucks started coming in, and then a police officer was there too. So between me, two other truck drivers, and the police officer, we're able to push him out. So see, not all police officers are bad. Helped us out. But all right, here we go. On to our case today. It's an interesting case. I found this when I was driving up through there on an app called Infamous America, where it's actually interesting where it's like a map and you can search around the United States on different crimes, different locations. You can read the Wikipedia page and different websites and stuff like that. So if you're a true crime nerd and want to search different locations, I would try that. You might like, but that's how I never even heard about it until this. And once I started researching and listening to videos, YouTubes, because what I do is I try to find podcasts since I'm driving. I try to find podcasts that are about it, pick the story, kind of collaborate them all together, find out what matches each other and go with that. And then I go to research when I'm stopped and see if the stuff I heard from the podcast collaborate with whatever's on Wikipedia, different websites, pages, and different things like that. And then I'll make a storyline and go with that. And that's where I found Mr. Jason Dalton, which he was one of them things where it was just of a sperm, because everybody says that he was a very, nice guy. There's nothing negative ever to say about him. So you never know who will turn, a killer. And you see his rampage really was, and what he did that day was crazy. But yeah, Jason Dalton. Let's a little bit talk about Jason Dalton. He was raised in Greenfield, Indiana, and went to middle school and high school in nearby Charlestonville. He attended Comstock High School in Kalamazoo, graduating in 1989. He then attended Kalamazoo Valley Community College and graduated December of 1992 with an associate's degree in law enforcement. So he did not enroll in the school's policy academy program, so he didn't strive to be a police officer at that time. And in 95, he married his wife, Carol. Dalton married Carol. The couple had two children together. The family was living in nearby Cooper Township at the time. Dalton was, like I said, was generally described as a nice guy, a good family man, though it was reported that he'd been acting depressed in the days before the incident occurred. Later, neighbors said Dalton had been acting paranoid right before the shooting, But you never know how accurate a lot of these, because a lot of people, once something big happens, then like, I knew it. He was acting crazy. He was acting strange. When in actuality, he was not acting nothing. He was acting normal. Everybody trying to get their little fame on TV, I guess, the news. But yeah, according to an old friend, Dalton had tried to seek a job as a police officer in Michigan or nearby states, but was unable to do so. Had no interest in moving far away to find police job, job in the law enforcement. Instead, he studied auto body work at Wyotech in Lemare, Wyoming, and found work in the BMW office in New Jersey at one point. This allowed him to get jobs as a mechanic and insurance, and then insurance director with Progressive, which that will come up later on, because a lot of people thought his username on his computer was Progressive, so they thought it was some kind of political statement, which it was just his. That's just what his handle, because he wears the work for Progressive, so he just, that's what it. So let's talk about what he did. Like I said, he was a pretty quiet family man. Kept his stuff as normal, doing nothing as usual on this day. It was a Saturday, February 20th, 2016. While his wife, he was at the house doing nothing. But while his wife went out with their 15-year-old son and their 10-year-old daughter, Dalton, Jason, took the German Shepherd Mia for a walk and run errands for a couple hours with a friend Brian. They went to three different gun stores. At one, he purchased a black jacket with pockets designed to conceal handguns. I picture, if you ever watch WWE, the Shield, like what they had, I'm guessing, if you get into wrestling or remember the Shield. Or if you watch the last Royal Rumble, Seth Rollins came out in that type of vest. I'm thinking this is the kind of vest that they bought. Though the store owner said Dalton was in good spirits during the visit, the friends who accompanied Dalton said that he was, I'm going to say Dalton, because somehow I got my notes as Dalton. When I say Dalton, I meant, of course, Jason Dalton. Dalton said he was a little bit more quiet than normal during the trip. Dalton was also occasionally, was an occasional customer at the time of the store, but never purchased a firearm, so he just went there and window shopped a lot. Afterwards, he told Brian that he might take a nap, then go to work. Dalton was an insurance, adjuster, like I said, in Kalamazoo, Michigan. But less than 2 weeks earlier, he had started driving for Uber. The Daltons were doing fine on money, but he was trying to get a little extra money to take his family to Disneyland. Brian, the man, Brian, the man that Dalton would characterize as, to the police later on as his best friend, said during the hours they spent together that day, Dalton had a little more quiet than usual. Like everybody's saying this, but so maybe it is true enough that Brian asked if anything was wrong. Dalton said no. He remembered Dalton asking him if he was interested in driving for Uber as well, but Brian told him that his friend was too busy. Nothing about those hours gave Brian any hint was, what was coming. And so when Dalton went out that afternoon, as he always did, to pick up Uber fares in the silver Chevy Equinox, I was worried that I wouldn't be able to say that name, but I remembered from the YouTube video, Equinox. He also brought along the family dog Mia. His first fare of the day was a female college student refused to get in the car because of Mia, but the local man he picked up just right after that, about 4 p.m., Matt Mullen, was okay with it. Mullen thought it was a bit weird, but it was a beautiful Saturday afternoon, so he figured maybe they had just been out for a walk, so the guy, Melon jumped up in the front while the dog was in the back. He said, I like animals, Melon explained. Doesn't bother me, so he got in the front passenger seat. Melon was headed from the edge of downtown Kalamazoo to a friend's house to pick up his car, which he left there after a birthday party the previous night, probably been drinking. Wise choice. And he and Dalton even chatted a little bit to begin with, small talk, nothing unusual. But after they drove for a short time, Dalton received a phone call. He was using Bluetooth, so Melon could not hear the call, though he wasn't really paying attention and wasn't even quite sure if the voice he heard was male or female, adult or child. Anyway, they didn't talk very long. That was when the universe uh, went crazy. He actually, the notes I got, that was when the universe abruptly shifted. But that's when everything changed from that point. he became a different person. So he hung up the phone, said Melon, and he floored it. He hammered it, hammered the gas pedal. He just started driving crazy. At one point, he entered oncoming lane of traffic, drove through a medium strip, ignored a stop sign, sideswiped a Ford Taurus, all the while ignored Melon's pleas to stop. When Dalton came to a stop at another stop sign, dude, you hit, Melon shouted, dude, you hit that car. You just hit that car. I didn't hit anything, Dalton replied with eerie calm and accelerated onward. I was like, bullshit, said Melon. And then I just like pleaded for him to stop the vehicle so I could get out. This guy's just begging for this guy to stop. He wanted to get out. Didn't want nothing to do with this crazy man again. And nobody, he don't know why. He just, after the phone call, he just went crazy. But Dalton wanted to stop. He shot through some lights, reportedly swerved into the wrong side of the road in the back. Mia got down on the floor and hid. Hit the whole time. Dalton showed no outward signs that anything unusual was happening. So this is just a normal day for him. I was like, please let me out. Please just let me out, says Melon. And he was, well, don't you need a ride to your friend's house? I was, not anymore. Let me out. Let me out. He refused to let him out. And then they passed, to the correct turn. So Melon started in each pointing out houses, saying there it is. There's a house, pointing at random houses to slow down. Finally, halfway down a quite stretch of a road, Dalton slammed on the brakes and asked again where's Melon's friends lived. Melon took advantage of the moment to leap out. He said it was the worst ride he ever had in his life, that's for sure. So Melon jumped out, called 911. He gave the dispatcher information about Dalton's Equinox, including its license plate, and dispatcher put on be on the lookout. Matter of fact, I listened to this 911 call, and since there was no police officers to actually physically see this, there was really nothing they could do. They like, well, you want me the 911 operator was like, you want me to be on the lookout for, or do you need to have a police officer come to your location? He just said, just be on the lookout for. They need to watch out for this guy. So notification of the vehicle was in multiple calls from 911 following the incident took place. But like I said, unless the police actually see it, there's really nothing they're going to do about it. It's just all hearsay stuff. So talk about some witnesses who saw this. Casey Black was having a cigarette with her husband outside the house at the corner of it's Iroquois Trail, enjoying the fine weather at the time. It was nice weather that day. Amid the loud screeching of Dalton's braking in and acceleration, then saw Millen tumble out of the car. So they dazed. Millen told them what happened. Of course, he was like, I am having a mental breakdown. Did that really happen? That's what the girl, she thought she was freaking out. Did that really just happen? What the hell was that? What the fuck happened? They called 911, reported silver docks and everything. Of course, she said that she don't think the police believed them at the time. So too bad they couldn't take this seriously, because what was going to happen following this would have changed everything. So what does this guy do? He went, well, actually back home, Millen called his fiance at 5:30, posted a warning on their friend's Facebook page about the Uber driver, and named Jason using his Uber folder. So he called his. Here's the post that they put on Facebook for all their friends in Kalamazoo. They say, "Attention Kazoo peeps. This Uber driver named Jason drives a silver Chevy Equinox. Not a safe ride. Despite Matt pleading with the driver to pull over, he refused. He was acting completely normal throughout all the erratic driving. Hoping this man will be arrested or hospitalized soon if he has a medical condition causing his behavior." So at 4:34, Dalton returned home. So he reported, I think he called Uber. This is before you were able to call Uber. I don't know if you could call him now, but everything was done. So the only thing you do is just a review. So I don't think you actually could physically talk to somebody. So after this, it was 4:34. Dalton returned home and called his wife 41 minutes later, asking her for the keys because the damage to the car. Of course, he was worried about what he just did. So he asked for the keys to the Chevy HHR. They agreed to meet at his parents' residence, located about 10 miles away. On the way, however, Dalton accepted another pickup request. And this is what's going to be crazy. he's going to do all this stuff, but in the between it, he's going to be taking requests. He's still going to be going on his job as normal, picking up Uber rides, and so yeah, he at 5:15 from a woman who wanted to be picked up her boyfriend at Richland Township apartment complex. So where was I at? Richmond apartment complex. I'm gonna apologize right now. It's been a while since I do this. I'm just trying to get back in. Hopefully, I'll get back into a habit, and maybe you'll get better episodes if you listen to this. So yeah, apartment complex. It was an 18-year-old high school senior who lived there in Kalamazoo. He spent most of that Saturday outside while his girlfriend Macy messaged him asking if he wanted to come hang out at her place at the apartment complex. So sometime after 5 p.m., she called an Uber to pick him up. But by mistake, Macy intentionally, by mistake, entered the wrong pickup point, the Meadows Townhomes admin office, rather than the Allen's address. So after a while, Dawn called her. It was her name on the Uber account, and events would suggest she was the passenger Dalton thought she was picking up. So he thought he was picking her up, not his or her boyfriend. So Dalton's silver car can be seen on the security cameras at this place, circling the state from 5:30 around 5:35 onward, trying but failing to find the Allen. By chance, the Allen's guardian, Amy, actually saw Dalton in his vehicle during this period when she went out to her mailbox. She didn't realize he was there for Allen, or she would have said something, but she did not. She did notice how on the edge he seemed. He was really aggressive. He was sitting kind of by the trash cans, and I was like coming forward. He's like a crazy look in his eyes. That was her talking. That he was looking crazy, sitting by the trash cans. As I was approaching him, he stepped on the gas and almost ran into her. Her first attempt was to throw up the middle finger, but she's happy she didn't. So he was like, "Hey, I'm lost. Can you?" He called her up, said, "Hey, I'm lost. Can you find me?" Macy would recall. So I gave him directions, and he said he went silent for about 10 minutes. I was like texting him repeatedly. I was, "Okay, did you find it? Are you still there?" So meanwhile, Macy continued to text Alan. He texts him about, "Are you there?" So they're looking for him. He's just driving around pissed off. So, but that, she keeps texting him. He never would reply. It was right then, as he looked one more time around the mailbox, that he spotted a 25-year-old woman who was leading five children, including her daughter, across the grass to the playground. Dalton rolled down his window and asked if she later recalled, was Macy or Misty. The woman said no. In fact, her name was Tiana Caruthers. Tiana, Caruthers. And Dalton momentarily drove off, but then he turned around and came back again, heading back, still sitting in his car. He took out well, by the way, I forgot to mention this. He had a Glock semi-automatic and pointed at her through the driver's side window. When Tiana finally saw the gun, she shouted at the kids to run and tried to do the same thing. As she did, she was shot 4 times. The first bullet hit her in her left arm. The second bullet hit her in the right leg. The last two bullets broke her other leg, and the other went through her buttocks and lodged in her liver. As Dawn sped off, he knew that he thought he had just killed somebody. No one could survive that many gunshots, but she did. And he probably, if she known, because she also played dead, by the way. Somehow Dalton was wrong. She said, "I just remember just shooting." He said, "I just remember shooting and shooting." Let me see. The woman said this. Dalton was wrong. She later would say, "I just remember shooting and shooting. I just tried to move, but I couldn't move. After I realized he wasn't going to stop shooting, I pretended like I was dead already." Some of Dalton's shots missed. 7 bullets went into the house behind her. 4 of these went through the wall, stopped only by a clutter in the closet a few feet from where three teenagers was playing NBA. Playing the 2K15 teenage. So I guess PlayStation. By the way, none of the kids were hit. They were unharmed. When the neighbors found her, she was on the ground, wedged between the curb and the back wheel of a truck. She couldn't feel her legs. She told them that what the man had been was a heavy set with blue eyes and had a dog in the back seat. and that she has never seen him before. So approximately 15 rounds were fired. 10 shell casings were recovered at the scene of the first shooting. 5 children, like I said, including the woman's daughter, were present at the scene of the shooting, but they escaped unharmed through her efforts. So 1 minute after the shooting, Dalton's Equinox can be seen driving through a red traffic light in an intersection approximately 1 mile away from the crime scene. It struck another vehicle and fled the scene with the driver calling 911 to report the crash. Around the same time, a neighbor found the injured woman, who was soon treated by, emergency personnel. 911. 1 minute after the shoot, 911 calls were made by people in the apartment where they got the same dispatch as earlier. So this, I guess, they only have one dispatcher that does the whole area. So she called back more information, but nothing was followed up, and Uber was not contacted to receive any help from them. If this patch of murder would have been stopped there, maybe nothing. The other two instances I want to talk about would not have happened. There was something wrong either with the Uber app itself, or more than likely with the way Dalton was using it. Because soon after he had arrived at the Meadows Township, the app had registered that he had his passenger on board, so it began recording his route. That is also a little later where Macy got a receipt that showed Dalton circling the estate and then driving to his parents' house. She was billed $7.31 for the journey that she did not take. There's a strange coda to Macy's experience with Dalton's a six at 6:09, nearly 30 minutes after Dalton shot somebody. He presumed that was Macy. He thought that was his fare that he was supposed to pick up. He left for her for dead. He called her back. Perhaps he realized from her texts that she could not. I better slow down talking. You ain't gonna make no sense. Text that could not have been the woman that he had left on the ground. So that was not her. That was somebody else. Macy said that they spoke for about 3 minutes. She described how the call ended. He was sorry, I don't have time for this anymore. I have better things to do, and you're just wasting my time. I basically can't do this anymore. You can call someone else for a ride. Mostly Dalton was unpleasant. He was really sketchy and rude, she recalled. Like, he was extremely rude to me. I don't think she knew I don't know. I couldn't find any notes if she knew what happened with the shooting yet. But later on, Dalton allegedly met with his wife and children at his parents' home in Comstock Township. He explained to his wife that Equinox had been sideswiped by a disgruntled taxi driver in a Chevy Impala, who fired a gunshot at him due to rage over having his business taken away. He then assured her that he called Uber and they were handling the incident. He also provided his wife with a 9mm Taurus handgun, telling her it was not safe to be at the house without it. In addition, he instructed her not to work, not to take their children to school. Dalton then attempted to leave in the Hummer H3, but it would not start. So he took the Chevy HHR. I think he was going to take the Chevy HHR first, but then that's what he ended up taking. But he tried to take the Humvee, but it wouldn't start. Hummer H3 that his wife had been driving. As he left, he allegedly told his wife he could not tell her what was going on, but they will find out in the news. After leaving, Dalton withdraw automated teller machines some money. Then, after driving around for 35 minutes, he returned to his house, switched handguns because that handgun had malfunctioned. He left again at 7:37 and continued accepting Uber requests. So after he just shot this woman, multiple times, just shot crazy, went home, switched cars up, drive that dude around crazy, almost thought he was going to kill him. He just gets a new car and continues taking Uber requests. We carried out without incident, like nothing happened. None of the passengers he took noticed anything unusual or alarming about him. Later tonight at 8:26, Dalton called his wife and told her not to call her parents for some reason. I don't know. I couldn't figure out why. But yeah, imagine these people who was taking these Uber rides were and actually knew what this guy had just did. and how lucky they got away with their life. So yeah, as he started taking his, he kept doing his job with Ubers and nobody noticed. So let's bring another person, Tyler Smith. Tyler Smith was 17. He had spent most of the Saturday looking for a car with his girlfriend and 9 months, Alexis, also 17. In that evening, his father, Rich, a plumber, joined him to see what his son had scooped out earlier for a car. He was already looking. Tyler and his father both loved cars, but they were also looking for something that they could use to go into business together. There's a strip of dealerships along Stadium Drive. As the time near 10 p.m., they pulled into the Kia Sealy Seelye Kia dealership. Tyler and his father got out to look at the blue Ford pickup truck parked right by the entrance of the closed dealership. Less interested, Alexis stayed in the back seat of their Range Rover, which was, boy, I sound retarded, dumb. Both was pulled up next to the pickup truck with its lights on, which was pulled up next to the pickup with its lights on, engine running as though the three weren't going to be. They're just going to be there for a short time. What happened next would be seen on the showroom surveillance camera, where several angles. Dalton entered the frame, drives around the lot, parks in front of the dealership's office, then approaches the father and son on foot, walking past the Range Rover without seeing Alexis. He was almost upon the Smiths before they noticed him. Dalton later said mystifyingly that he had gone into the car lot because he felt compelled to look at a black BMW. This is exactly how, according to the police report, Dalton explains the change of plans that actually made him into a killer for the first time and second time. Jason advised that he got out of his car and instead of looking at the black BMW, he shot a couple of people. Alexis watched as Dalton walked up to the Rich and Tyler Smith and spoke to them. He asked them, "What are they looking at?" This is what how the conversation went down. He asked them, "What are they looking at?" They turned around and said, "Yeah, we're looking at." That's all the words was able to come out of their mouth before he pulled out the gun and started shooting. They looked at him and they put their hands up and they said, "What are you doing?" And they fell down. And then after they got shot, they fell down. That's when I ducked behind. That's when the girl Alexis ducked behind the seats. According to another witness who was driving by at the moment of attack, even after the father and son fell, Dalton shot them both. Shot them some more times, I guess, to make sure they were dead. Only did Dalton try the door at the black BMW next to the bodies, but it was locked. Alexis panicked because she thought she was coming. She was crouched down the seat, thought he was going to come after her. But I guess Dalton's shadow moved over. He couldn't see her, so he saw the shadow move over the Range Rover and never came back. She left her cell phone in Tyler's home. So after waiting about 90 seconds, she leaned in the front seat forward and looked around to Dalton to see if he was there. Then got out and crawled to where her boyfriend's body was laying at in the back. She then got his cell phone out of his pocket and retreated back to the Range Rover real fast. So about 10:08, she dialed 911. By then, Dalton and his father was long. However, was Dalton was long gone. So, however, was guiding him. It was telling him that somewhere else he had somewhere else to be, and somewhere else was some more Uber fares. He continued doing Uber fares while this was all going on. Business is normal. Just happened to have killing at the same time. So about 10 minutes later, the third shooting occurred outside of a Cracker Barrel restaurant in Texas Township, located about 5 miles from the killer. So he drove there straight to this Cracker Barrel dealership. Four people seated inside two vehicles were killed. One other person was wounded when he got there. He reportedly approached one of the victims inside a white van, asked her a question, then shot her before shooting into a joint vehicle, a vehicle that was next to him, which contained the other victims. I'm almost sound like a news broadcast right there. But yeah, let's talk about them. So he shot and then shooting about 1 minute before the gun fled. He was returning home to reload the gun, so he went there, shot a couple of people there in his car, shot a couple people, So let's talk about who these people are. At the start of the night, four women, you know, Mary, 16, Mary Lou Nia, Mary Jo Nia, Dorothy Brown, and Barbara Hawthorne, and 14-year-old Abigail Koff, which I'm gonna post a video about her, you know, on my Facebook page, Truck Stop Murder and True Crime Podcast. It'd be awesome if you join it. I'm really trying to get discussion, but the people I have on it right now are not very talkative. Actually, the only person talking right now on it is some lunatic who thinks his dad is the Delphi killer. But let's talk a little bit about them. I'm at the dinner. They all went together to Cracker Barrel. They carpooled to see a performance of the Chinese acrobats on campus. Now, a bit after 10 o'clock, went back to the Cracker Barrel lot purely so they could split back up into two parties before heading home. So they weren't planning on eating there. They were just getting, I guess, they were in all the different kind of cars, so they had to rearrange everybody and go on home. So by that time, Dalton came up on foot. Four of them were in one car, and the fifth, Mary Lou Nia, was in another. The first time Dalton described what he did here, he said the only thing that he remembered was the percussion of the gunshots. But the next time he remembered more, including a particularly disturbing details. He went up to a woman in a white van, asked her whether she could spare $1 to make America great again. He was very political about the Trump thing, I think, a little bit. I didn't find too much about it, but I'm not really linger on that too much because I'm not for sure. But when he make America great again, it makes me wonder if it's true. After she declined, he shot her in the head. He said that he was about to run away, but then he heard the four women in the other car scream. So he shot them too. He methodically described the order in which he did this. First, he shot the driver, then the rear seated passenger on the driver's side, then the front seat passenger, and then the rear seated passenger behind her. And of course, 14-year-old Abigail was the only one to survive. She got shot in the head, but she has survived the incident, which had to go through many, many years rehabilitation. Which I'll show you the video. She seemed like she was a happy, spirited girl through it all. So good for her. Turn tragedy around and make the best out of it. Yeah, who had been shot in the head had called a time. They even called a time of death on her, and the body was maintained so her organs could be harvested for transplant, and then breathing. So they thought she was dead. And then breathing and a heartbeat was detected, a type of event that people like to see as a kind of a miracle that would grow and offer, just, yeah. But yeah, first word after all of a sudden she could talk, and the first word she said was pig because she had a pet pig and took her first steps. Her story, accompanied by upbeat bulletins from the newspaper, from Tiana Cuthers, became the story of Kalamazoo until about that night. And like I said, there's a YouTube video about her. I'm going to try to post it on my Facebook page. So let's have a little recap of what happened that day. He just woke up on a regular day, went shopping first time. Jacket went to was supposed to pick up somebody, went to the wrong address, and got pissed off and shot some lady about 5 or 6 times, and picked up a bunch of Uber rides. Continued business as normal. Went to a Keeler, switched cars with his wife, told her be careful. He was getting really paranoid. Told her give her a gun, don't go to work, don't send the kids to school, and went off. Said don't ask me the questions, you'll find out later. And then started taking fares. That's what I was looking for, fares. And then went to a Keeler dealership, killed 2 people there, and then went to the Cracker Barrel where he killed 4 more people. So that's 6 total, injured 2. So it could have been worse, that's for sure. If Sergeant James Harrison was, normally didn't work in the city, but he had been called into the town to investigate a reporting shooting, another incident entirely different. So he wasn't even there for what's going on here, but something different. Nothing to do with Dalton. As it turned out, not even a real one. It was a prank call, which happens like everyone else calls in law enforcement in Kalamazoo that night. So all the people that was calling real calls, they thought they were just blending them all together with the fake ones, the real ones, whatever. but he was now on lookout for Harrison. Was idling at a stoplight at the corner of Maine and Michigan when he happened to turn and spotted something over his right shoulder, a black Chevy HHR, about to pull out of a up and under parking lot. Dalton had just dropped off some fares there. A block, a, a block, a few blocks away, Malaria Lemix, a student, Mallory, Lemix, Lemix, a student. Almost, but I'm not the best pronunciation of different. If anybody listen to any of my podcasts, you knows that I'm not the best speaker. I do try though. But yeah, she was a student of Western Michigan. Was enjoying a mother-daughter night with several other friends. Seven girls, seven girls with seven mothers. She noticed her father had been calling her and texting her since the previous bar, so they're power hopping. So she went to the bathroom to find out what was up. A shooter is on the loose. Seven people believed dead. Of course, this is the time where they thought the 14-year-old girl was dead. Her father told her what was right now being talked about on the news: a Chevy HHR driven by an older male. So they decided to just hit one more spot, the Wild Bill, then write and call it a night. Her dad kept phoning, increasingly worried about. By now, the other women were getting calls and texts too about. So she summoned a cab. At 12:33, the Uber request was accepted by the nearest driver, so they got a Uber instead. And but it was the nearest driver, and his information came up on her phone. Jason, Chevy Equinox. Keep in mind, not the HHR. Of course, on the apps it shows the car that he had registered with Uber, not the Chevy. But when she saw that the word Chevy and Chevy Jason's picture, she panicked. She didn't. She did notice that the Uber app was telling her wrong that the car was on its way was a Chevy Equinox, not a HHR. But as far as she was concerned, Chevy, anything was too close. She canceled the ride. So yeah, Chevy this, Chevy this. She was not taking no chances. She canceled the ride and tried to reboot a different driver. So at 12:34, her request for a new was accepted. And guess who it was? It was Jason with the Chevy Equinox again. She canceled again on her Uber app. She could see the car icon move right past her when she and her group was waiting. Meanwhile, Sergeant Harrison trailed Dalton as he circled the Wild Bill. So I guess he's seen him and kind of recognized the driver or called. I couldn't figure out. But yeah, Harrison had no idea that Dalton was the Uber driver, but he was watching him because he was kind of driving crazy. There was another reason to worry about that this person might be going from one Kalamazoo nightclub to another, scoping out victims. So he just want to keep an eye on him because of his call earlier. He said, I'm like, oh shit. Harrison would later tell his colleagues because there's 30 or 40 people standing around the Wild Bull. But instead, Dalton headed north, then took a right turn down Ramsey Street into a quieter industrial and business district northeast of downtown. He was listening to the radio open house opera on 103.3 FM. There was no signs that he noticed Sergeant Harrison behind him or the second car of Sergeant Scott Miller, who had just joined the pursuit. So he didn't even know the police was following him at the time. At 12:38, she tried her Uber one more time, and of course got Jason with the Chevy Equinox. This time, though, she noticed something odd. The car icon was not moving towards her on the map. In fact, it had stopped moving entirely. No matter. He was an older man in the Chevy. She canceled the fare again for the final time. So lucky these women that they did that, because who knows? Like I said, he was collecting a lot of fares, but he was actually people who did a lot of these fairs, he said he was acting normal, nothing. But then you never know when he would just go over the edge and snap, just like he did Tequila and the Cracker Barrel. So just after 12:37, a few hundred yards away from them, was about to cancel her ride for the third time and final time. Sergeant Harrison flipped on his lights to make what police call a felony stop. Dalton pulled over almost immediately. The two police cars pulled in behind Dalton after I don't even know what this is. The note said a pregnant minute. Ordered the driver to put his hands on the window. Dalton complied at 12:38 a.m. Harrison, gun drawn, covered by Sergeant Miller, His gun, also drawn slowly, edged towards Dalton's car. They grabbed Dalton's wrist. He asked him, "Do you have anything on you?" Miller asked, but Dalton just stared blankly ahead. Patted him down. Harrison found the pistol. He announced and placed it. He announced he was a gun. He announced he had a gun on the. So he put it on the roof of Dalton's car. Then Dalton was handcuffed, and Harrison led him to the police car. As Harrison searched Dalton more, one of his colleagues walked by and gave Harrison a fist bump. Just said, The call went on over the police call. One detained, firearm on person. So they were excited. After Dalton was put in the car and driven away, the officers who remained at the scene seemed surprised and maybe disappointed. And this is what I think was funny, that such a violent, terrible situation to have ended so quietly. Snatches up their conversation could be heard, you know, little sections of the conversation on the police audio could be heard. Officers still saying, talking about what happened, everything. One guy said he had a bulletproof vest on. I can't believe he didn't have a fucking gun battle out here. Oh man, could you get a better fucking backdrop? Brick building, metal building, no residential. So they were looking for a shootout. They're hoping this guy could have went out with the blaze of glory. He had the gun, but he didn't do it. Another person said, "Dude, I'm going to tell you right now, I really wanted to." I was like, "You fucking piece of shit." One guy said when he stopped here, I was like, "Come on." He said, "Game on." we would have fucking obliterated his ass. He didn't see a single thing when we pulled him over. He didn't say a single thing when he pulled him over. I can't believe he didn't. This is what all the police officers were saying. I can't believe he didn't go out in a blaze of glory. They also discussed whether more bodies could be found. So they think there was more people. Somebody mentioned that officers were checking all the other parking lots along Stadium Drive. He's got to have killed his wife or someone else, they said. I would think so, came their reply, as the news came through that his wife had been successfully contacted. She and a 14, she's she's a 14. I thought it was something else. She's a 14. Kalamazoo police code of confirming she's okay. That sounded perplexed. Cops at the scene also were surprised. Clearly, this is not how they anticipated night would end. He didn't fight us. I'm surprised that he didn't want to go at, go at it, figure it out. But enough of that. But yeah, one guy says, "Wow, what a fucking puss." Later, tried to explain why he allowed himself to be arrested with a fight. He said that he reached to his right side of his gun where he was pulled over. But then once again, something happened, and I will get to this later with this phone. In one police officer interview, he said that it beeped. And you know what? It beeped. And another one, he said that it app turned from black to red. At the moment, he said he felt like with he was no longer being guided as reported, as he would say. So why did he do all this? I guess this is when he first started shooting. He has his Uber app, and he went to look at it because it beeped for a fare, but it turned black and a little Satan icon popped on it. And that's where he said the Uber app controlled his actions from that night on. So when the police pulled him over, the Uber app turned back to red, and that's when it stopped controlling his actions. So it's all the Uber app's fault, controlling what he did. And that's what he will go off in court to say. So yes, the Uber app made him do it. It wasn't him, the Uber app. Satan was controlling him through the Uber app, obviously. That's why he did what he did. But he still could tuck fares, and this truck next to me beeping me. Not beeping at me, but he's beeping. I don't know if you can hear that. It's just, rest there is a mess, like I told you. There's guys up here with his four ways on. There's a police officer's been here doing something for a while. I'm guessing he stopped the truck. I don't know what's going on. But this impatient truck driver behind me just beeping his horn. Not behind me, but next to me. So, but yeah, when Dalton's full explanation finally became public, it was mostly greeted as though people saw calculation behind his crazy talk. It was a plot everyone's seen over and over on TV. The murderer who tries to avoid the harsher punishment by laying the basics of his sanity defense. except that the full transcripts of those police interviews simply does not read that way. Over and over and over, Dalton avoided giving this explanation. He refused to say or ask to take the fifth. He told Lee at least 22 times that he finally blurted out. In the meantime, he was otherwise reasonably cooperative. He said he didn't want to call anyone, that he wasn't suicidal, that he wasn't hungry, wasn't on any medication, wasn't on drugs. So he's back to his normal self. Answered more general questions about his life calmly and sensible, discussing his marriage and dog and daily habits. He also definitely ruled out that he what didn't happen. He denied seeing a psychotics or being a bipolar. He wasn't seeing a psychiatrist or being bipolar or having any mental problems, and insisted that he was on any anti-government or militia person. He said nothing triggered him. The report, what the record said, even though he said it was the app. Even when Dalton finally told the police the truth, as he claimed to experience, he made it clear that he really didn't want to. He came across less like somebody trying to seem delusional than someone rational enough to know what he was saying sounded completely insane. In the days after his arrest, Jason Dalton, court-appointed lawyer, would apply for his on his behalf for contempt, test not competency test not yet to consider his mental state when these acts were committed, but but merely was just to stop, but merely to judge whether he had the mental capacity to understand legal procedures. Dalton told the psychiatrist who interviewed him about the app how it had taken over his body, controlled his actions, asked whether this was possible or whether his mind could have been playing tricks on him. Dalton sounded like someone who is slowly beginning to wake up. That's what I've been trying to work through, I guess. That's the heavy part. I believe at the time I was experiencing something I'm not sure that what that is in the cell. It's heavy thinking about if I was imagining those things or was it real. So he's still trying to, you know, figure out what was up with the app. So the leading legal proceedings on February 22nd, 1916, Dalton was arraigned on 16 charges, including 6 counts of murder, 2 counts of assault with intent to commit murder, and 8 counts of using a firearm during the commission of a felony. He was to reappear in court on March 10th for a preliminary examination hearing. On March 3rd, he was ordered to undergo a psychotic. Why can't I say that word? Psychotic evaluation to determine his competence to stand trial. He appeared on court April 22nd, where he was ruled by the Michigan Center for Forensic Psychology that he was found competent to stand trial. A former county's chief assistant prosecutor and a former Calhoun County commissioner was appointed to represent him in court. Dalton appeared on May 20th for a preliminary hearing to determine if there was enough evidence to try him on the charges. During the hearings, Dalton made a verbal outburst and interrupted Tiana Cuthers, the first victim, the woman Tiana. Yeah, she was given a victim, the first victim. Of course, he shot at the apartment complex while she was testifying. He reportedly made somewhat statements, been bad statements, and caused her to cry, forcing a recess to be called. Dalton was restrained and removed from the courtrooms by the sheriff's sheriff's departments at the building. The hearing resumed later in the day with Dalton participating in video hookups, so he was not allowed to be in the courtroom anymore. And by the way, I don't edit. I try to edit as much as I can as I record, and sometimes on my mush mouth or my misreading stuff like that, I'll just let it go through because it'll take me forever to record this if I just edit everything. So, like I said, as a truck driver, I do drive 14 hours a day, and I do enjoy doing this. My wife enjoys listening to, but if you enjoy it, awesome. But if you don't, you get what you get. If you don't like it, then I guess you can get. But back to the story. On June 6th, following a pretrial conference, Dalton's attorney announced their plans to present a legal ex ante defense for his client. He underwent a psychotic evaluation conducted by the Michigan Center of Forensic Psychiatrist and Salim, Salin. Is that Saline? Yes, Saline. A process that was carried out over the next 60 days. His trial was expected to start in late September on October. A status conference was, set up for August 15th to see where he stood. On August 12th, the conference was postponed to September 30th, with the Kalamazoo, chief assistant prosecutor saying that the evaluation was not yet been finished. On that day, the conference was delayed again because Dalton's psychiatrical report was not finished, so they're still checking them out. On June 13th, 2017, trial date was set. The trial date was later delayed. Jury selection was later scheduled to start January 30th, 2019, with opening statements starting on June 7th, 1999. But with all that, on January 7th, 2019, Dalton pled guilty to all counts against him. I guess they're trying to talk him into it. There's just too much evidence against you, dude. They're not going to fall for your sanity plea. So just go ahead and see what happens. So what happens on February 5th, 2019? Dalton was given a lifetime life in prison without the possibility of parole. I'm not going. My wife said she don't like me saying "be gone with you," so he gets to stay at Michigan's finest 5-star penitentiary for the rest of his life without the possibility of parole. So that is where he's currently at the Oak Correctional Facility in Michigan. And a little rundown of the victims of it. The Meadows Township, like I said, one was wounded. Like I told you, the Kia dealership, you had two victims that were murdered, the father and son. In the Cracker Barrel, 4 dead, 1 wounded, which they thought she had died, but at the last second they heard the breathing, heartbeat. So the first person killed was Tyler D. Smith, 17, and his father, Richard E. Smith, 53, who were both killed at the Kia car dealership. 4 women, Mary Jo Nia, NYE, and Mary Lou Nia, 57, Dorothy Brown, 74, and Barbara Hawthorne, 68, were killed at the Cracker Barrel. All 4 women were friends, and Mary Lou were sisters, of course, with the last name Mary Jo and Mary Lou Nia, N-I-E, were sisters-in-laws. Abigail Koff, which suffered severe injuries at the Cracker Barrel, including a gunshot wound to the head. At the time of her shooting, she was accompanied by victim Barbara. She was accompanying victim Barbara Hawthorne, a close friend whom she called her grandmother. She was initially reported dead, but I'm not going to go over all that again. But like I said, there's a very, encouraging video they have on her on Facebook. So I'm going to post that on my page. But yeah, the first victim, 25, was the first victim to be shot by the shooting, being shot 4 times in left arm. And she's doing a lot better right now. There's videos of her out there as well. So what is the aftermath of all this? What happened with all this? So after the shooting, Governor Rick Snyder expressed his condolence on Twitter, writing the families of Kalamazoo victims are in our thoughts today. Grateful to name the people for the quick arrest. Joe Sullivan's Uber chief security officer released a statement reading, "We are horrified and heartbroken to the senseless violence in Kalamazoo, Michigan. Our hearts and prayers are for the family and the victims of the devastating crime and those recovering from injuries. We have reached out to the police to help with their investigation in any way we can. Calls were made for Uber to approve the background check on the system, because before, as long as you have a license, you have an operating car, anybody could drive for Uber." In response to the shooting, President Barack Obama praised the law enforcement agencies and pledged federal support for the ongoing investigation. Following the shooting, there was public outcry when it was revealed that there was no active shooter alert that could be sent to Kalamazoo area residents and students at Western Michigan University. Keep in mind, during this all, between the shootings, he kept on getting fares. So, but nobody knew that the danger was out there because they did not put out no warning. So additional callings from emergency alert system from such as high-profile incidents, was published by Michigan Live. Let me start that again. Following the shootings, there was public outcry when it was revealed that there's no active shooter alert that could be sent to Kalamazoo area residents and students at Western Michigan University. An editorial calling for an emergency alert system for each high-profile incident was published by Michigan Live 6 days after the shooting in March. Legislation, legislation, why can't hard time legislation for a statewide warning system was introduced. I sound like a moron. The warning system was disseminate information on active shooter situation on other mercy and protect residents. It involved local law enforcement agencies sending information to the Michigan State Police, which was then responsible for sending text messages or warning using you. But kind of like what you get now. If you ever anything happens, like Amber Alerts and everything, everybody's cell phone starts going crazy. So they're really getting stricter on that. What this it comes down to. So if you ever listen by your cell phone, it starts beep 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 going crazy. Amber Alert, Blue Alert. They have all kinds of alerts to let you know what's going on. And of course, on the highways where they have the signs that say gray alerts and amber alerts. So that's what they're mad about because nothing was said about it. So they think that the police really did not do their job by warning people that there was an active shooter out there. But anyhow, there you go. There's the shooting in Kalamazoo, Michigan by Jason Dalton. It's been a while, as you tell. I'm kind of rusty. I'm hoping to get into a regular scheduling. So maybe I get my reading better. I think that's my issue, reading better and get the stories better. And so hopefully I get more episodes out. Like I said, right now, I think I have 54 episodes out, but this is kind of like actually 53, episode 53, because I have two promo type episodes that I put out. I'm not going to really count them. But yeah, if you enjoyed it, thank you for putting up with my crazy talk and nonsense and butchery of names and words and stuff. But yeah, rate and review me. Go to my YouTube channel. Subscribe on there. I really want to go live on YouTube, but I need 1,000 subscribers. Also, I have a TikTok channel called Sceneries and Cemeteries, where I go to show different sceneries around the United States as I'm driving. Also, cemeteries that I cover that I find. I'm really big on cemeteries. I really enjoy going to them. It's very peaceful. The artwork on them, some of the memorials are amazing, and there's just not names written on them. Those are people, fathers, wives, husbands, fathers, mothers, sons, daughters, cousins, grandparents. It always fascinated me about that. Different time periods, different. What were they like? What did they have to endure? But yeah, if you like that, go to there. Also, join my Facebook group, Truck Stock Murder. Also, you can find me on Twitter at Truck Murder, and same thing with Instagram, Truck Stop Murder. Also, if you just want to send me an email, truckstopmurder@gmail.com. And there you have it. Hopefully by next week I'll have another episode out. And if you enjoyed it, thank you. And like I said, and my wife don't like this, but I'm keeping this one because it's awesome. You can't fix stupid, but you can sure numb it with a 2x4. I'm out of here.